The robbery. So I've been traveling now for months, taking all these trips, and Marco has a deal come up, and he came to me and said, "Hey, look, this is a big deal. Now I want to take the trip. I want to do this." So I said, "Okay." I didn't have a lot of context to the deal. I know I booked plane tickets. I booked a security guard, and Marco was going to go do his thing. Unfortunately, we all know how that ended. And that cost us, with Marco getting robbed, that physically cost us about $1.1 million. Now, when a business all of a sudden loses $1.1 million, half of those watches being consignment pieces, you have to cover you have to cover those up. Like you got to cover that loss really quick before it really hurts the business. Or, my biggest fear was the perception that we weren't going to be able to pay these things off, or that we were an unsafe company, and consignees would start pulling their inventory, or people would be afraid to do business with us. So to keep that from happening, I put two of my expensive watches up as collateral for a loan. Now, I won't say which watches, but it was to the tune of an $800,000 loan to quickly pay off all those debts. Now, trying to think. There just seemed to be, after that happened, and I can understand, like, Marco experiencing that. I couldn't understand it at the time because I had never been through it. I understand now how traumatic that could be after being involved in the home invasion that I was, but at the time, Marco had just been robbed at gunpoint, and we just lost all this money. And now I'm having to put up two of my watches as collateral on a loan to pay a debt that I didn't cause. Again, this is my mindset. I was frustrated. But I wasn't frustrated about the money. I was frustrated at the level of motivation for Marco to get back in there and help me do this. There just was no motivation. It was just kind of like this blank stare. I don't know. It's now I'm out over $1 million of my personal money, and I'm having to step up my workload, and I'm not getting it reciprocated from my business partner. So my frustration started growing. Again, I want to stress, I didn't understand at the time. I was getting basically pissed off and frustrated with Marco without taking into account what he had gone through. I didn't understand it. I didn't know. All I know is that we just lost a shitload of money. Now I'm out money. I'm having to sell my watches to pay for this. And you're not coming to work to help me, and there's just no motivation to do anything. So I began getting frustrated. Now it's to a point where Marco's frustrated with me. I'm frustrated with Marco. I'm frustrated with Marco. The team is frustrated with me because I'm not there. So I just decided that I was just going to keep leaving. If people wanted video time and they didn't want me in the office, then I was just going to leave and just kind of do my own thing. And then, now this is where the idea of maybe we'll just expand to LA, and I'll leave Dallas and I'll let them do their thing here, and I'll go to LA and do what I want to do. That's the idea. Um, The I wanna say this all started th this like, the height of all the frustrations were in November, December. I also started a coaching program. Again, going back to, I feel like I'm doing 80% of the work, but I'm only taking home 50% of the money. How do I make more money? I'd had a gentleman call up and offer, you know, X number of dollars for me to teach his son the business, and that got me thinking, how if I could do this and I could coach some students on the side and it wouldn't affect my work, and I could help other guys build a business and make a lot of money doing it, there we go. That's another thing. So what did I do? I launched the coaching program. Now, I can't speak for how anyone else in the office felt, but when, I can only imagine there were some frustrations, that I had just now made, over $300,000 selling these coaching memberships when nobody else got a part of that. I don't know how everyone felt, but like I said, I can imagine there was frustrations on it, which only added to the already growing frustration. So it's just this slow thing of us slowly, everyone's getting frustrated with everybody while trying to keep a perfect face and make the world, not seem like anything's going on, and not like, let people know what's going on. Um, I'll also say that I made a lot of decisions without Marco. I and I didn't do it in a way that was to say like I don't trust you or I don't have to answer to you. I just thought I knew more than anyone else, and it was my baby, and I felt like if I was going to put all the work into this to build it, then I was going to be the one to make decisions. I was also still salty about the whole Clove situation. It was like, the one big decision I let you have screwed us up, and or then the second big decision, which was the blackout, also kind of screwed us up. So at that point, I was just tired of. I didn't want anyone else to make decisions but me. That was my fault, and that was a fault on me that added to the frustration and the ultimate split. I decided that we were going to expand to LA without asking. I decided I was going to keep traveling. I decided all these things, and I wasn't really giving him a chance, and that is a fault on mine that I admit to. Um, I want to let's go to December. Back in one of my videos, you guys saw me gift Jimmy a Hulk to leave his day job and his career and come work with me. The idea was that we were going to start a couple companies. I was going to come up with the ideas. Jimmy was going to be my right hand man to execute on all those things and help me run all these things. We do have an apparel company together. We started a consulting business. We started a software business that we were designing some software. The consulting and the software have since we've canceled those. We still have the apparel company, but back when the buyout happened, the reason I want to talk about Jimmy is back when the buyout happened, you guys saw a video where Jimmy decided to come here. And a lot of the talk online was that Jimmy saw the sinking ship in LA and saw the shit show that this was going to become, and he jumped ship before it was too late. And I can tell you that that is 100% the complete opposite. Jimmy, whenever the talk of me running. Now, the talk initially for Dallas was not for us to split. It was for me to turn over control to Dallas. I would own all my equity still. I'd keep my equity, but I would turn over control to Dallas so Marco and the investor could run it in their image and their way without having to ask me anything. And I would now have full control of LA. We would share everything, but I would get to decide what happens here. He gets to decide what happens here. That was initially how it started. Now, you guys remember Watch Nicholas, which is also one of the questions that Brian has on his thing here. This Watch Nicholas guy. Never heard of him. I'd seen some of his videos. I don't know who he was. To my knowledge, I've never had an interaction with him. I don't know what prompted him to start coming on and doing 12-hour live streams, just trashing me and every single thing we do. I don't know what the motivation behind it was. I ignored it for a long time, about 5 months, until it got to a point where people were, here's why I started responding to him. It got to a point where people were afraid to come on my social media. My business is derived from having guests, having clients, having personal interactions with people on my social media. But people were afraid of coming on there and then this guy digging up sensitive information, personal stuff that they don't want out there. That's when it started bothering me. I couldn't figure out why the guy was going after me and everyone else we had on there. So I impulsively started reacting. I did start responding to trolls and haters on YouTube. I started responding to comments. At that point, I had been getting so much hate. There's someone leaving a comment here. I doxed Watch Nicholas's family. Okay, to clear the air, I did not dox him because it was the wrong guy. For one, two, the 5 months of videos, people are responding to me posting one thing on Watch Nicholas's so-called family, but no one has ever mentioned the fact that he posted my entire criminal record. He posted the address to my Hollywood Hills home, which had resulted in a robbery. He posted my driver's license, all of my legal documents, everything that you could dig up on me. And I mean, honestly, I was in a state of anger and frustration, and I retaliated like that because I felt like I was being attacked for no reason. People I knew were being attacked for no reason. So is what I did right? No, but I did it out of just an act of frustration and not thinking clearly. um Watch Nicholas is posting all these videos. He's attacking everyone. I start responding to comments. Believe it. I mean, honestly, there was a point in this when I was getting so much hate that I could kind of flipped a switch and decided I was like, well, if you guys want to hate me, I'm going to give people something to hate me about. Right now I'm doing the best I can trying to produce content and people are hating on me. So fuck it. You want to hate me? Why not give you guys a reason? That's when I started responding. That's when I came back and started talking shit to people. That's when I started intentionally posting stuff on social media just to piss people off. I think I actually remember having a phone call with Roman Sharf where he called me. He's like, dude, you're gonna become the most hated watch dealer out there. And I was like, good, because hate's what people seem to like to talk about. So I'm gonna make everyone hate me. I don't care. And I didn't for a little while. Do I regret that? Yeah. I kind of wish I hadn't done that, but it is what it is, and I can't take it back. So I'm getting off topic a little bit. Oh, going back to Jimmy. After the Watch Nicholas stuff started blowing up, and after the massage stuff came out, which everyone keeps asking about this, yes, I have a past. I've done stuff I'm not proud of, and if you don't like me for that, then that's your right. I don't care. Um, I said in a video that everyone has something that they're going to take with them to their grave. That was mine. So whenever that did come out, at first I was mortified, but then after I sat and thought about it for a little while, I realized that now nobody has anything on me that they can post that's going to embarrass me. Like the most embarrassing thing I've ever done is all over the internet. So I'm an open book. I have nothing else there. But if you want to judge me from my past, then judge away. It says more about you than me. I don't care. I did what I did. I did what I had to do to get what I wanted, and it is what it is. So there's that. Um, Once that news came back out, so up until the massage stuff came out, the talks of me going to LA and Marco staying in Dallas was going to be, it was not a split. It was a, we were both going to own it, but we were going to have two separate things where I get to do my thing, he gets to do his thing. They were already looking at bringing in another investor to raise more money once we signed our contract for me to go to LA. The new investor happened to not already not be a fan of mine anyway, from what I was told. And so when that massage news broke out, they decided that they could no longer be associated with me and that the only way they were ever going to be able to build the Dallas operation to what they could and get more money to come into it was if they disassociated with me, my name, and my brand. So that's when the buyout started being talked about. Now, we went back and forth for a few weeks trying to figure out exactly how to make this work and what would be fair. And Jimmy's actually the one that proposed giving himself in place of me getting paid. We had a long dinner one night with the entire team here, and there was a lot of emotion, but it came down to the only way I was going to be able to get Dallas to pay me the substantial amount of money that they did was I was going to have to give up something big. The big thing being Jimmy as their back end operation. I'll be honest, if they had paid me and Jimmy had stayed with me, I don't see much hope in Dallas. And I think they realize that as well because that's how valuable Jimmy was. And it's very apparent with what he's doing with them right now. And they are going to crush it because Jimmy did that. But Jimmy didn't jump ship to abandon me. He left to help me because the only way I was going to get a dollar out of Dallas was to give him up and the YouTube channel, which like I didn't care about the YouTube channel. I cared more about Jimmy and that stung, but at the end of the day, I also got a large check finally. So that's that. I just wanted to clear that up. Let's see, what's next? I'd say the next big thing that happened was I rented this house in the Hollywood Hills and we were quickly involved in a home invasion. Now, reason I want to talk about that is because I've read all the stuff online saying, oh, it's an insurance scam. Well, if anyone remembers watching any of those videos or any of the news clips, I come out and I blatantly say they didn't get anything. They got a backpack of mine that had, 30 or $40,000 of personal jewelry and cash, but other than that, they got away with nothing. Now, for some of the people that can't put two and two together and are screaming insurance scam, I don't know how effective that would be for someone who puts their entire life on video, on social media, to try and pull an insurance scam, claiming all this inventory got lost, and then at the same time telling the news channels that they got away with nothing. I just, I don't know how that would work. But, you know, people still jump straight to the conclusion of saying it was another insurance scam. It was not. It really happened. It was a traumatic story or traumatic event. And now, I wish I've known what that feeling was like back when Marco got robbed, because I would have definitely been a lot more sympathetic. So that happens. We find the penthouse. That's the next big thing that I've got. Um, One of the questions here is, after the blackout, I popped back up on YouTube in the sprawling LA penthouse. What was the true motivation behind this, and was it a pitch to investors? You guys remember, like, the Watch Nicholas stuff went crazy, the massage stuff came out, we had the home invasion, and it just, you know what, I decided, like, I needed to get away. Like, I was stressed beyond belief. I cut the YouTube channel for a little while. We already showed off me signing the deposit, or signing the lease for the penthouse, putting down a deposit, and getting that set up. And it just, like, I got stressed out. And I was getting to another tipping point where I did not want to be on social media. So I turned it all off, and I decided we were just going to operate in silence for a little while. Now, the idea behind the penthouse, when I first moved, or when I first started moving to LA, the idea was going to be, we were going to get a small little office in Beverly Hills, like this one right here, by the way. Hope you guys can, we're here, the team sitting over here chilling, watching it. Say hi to everybody. Um, the idea coming here was that we were going to we're going to have this quiet little office in Beverly Hills. I was going to go live over in West Hollywood, or Hollywood, or somewhere. And we were going to have an office simply for safekeeping of inventory. And then we are going to be more mobile. I was a day out from actually signing a lease on a different office space and on an apartment that I was going to live at and we were going to operate out of, when we went to this event for Super Bowl. I set up all of our inventory in the closet of this beautiful penthouse in the building across the street from where we ended up going. And I remember Ellis, the property manager for that building, came up, saw us shooting content, and said, if you guys think this penthouse is amazing, you should see the one next door. He took us over next door to tour it, and I immediately saw the vision of what this could have become. Now, also, something that people don't know was, I didn't just have this grand vision of what this could become. I also had an investor that was going to be backing me with a substantial amount of money. And when I told him I was coming to LA, I told him I want to do something bigger than anyone's ever done. And he was on board. Like, he'd been an avid friend and follower for a while, been a client. He was on board. So I made the decision to get the penthouse with the idea that I have an investor coming in with a lot of money. I have a significant amount of money coming from the Dallas buyout. And then personally, I had a little over $2 million in my own watch collection. So financially, I was set to make this thing work. As ludicrous and as big as it was going to be, I was confident that I could have made it work. Now, what ended up happening after I signed that lease was, we had the Hollywood Hills home invasion. We had the Watch Nicholas drama. We had the market take a shit, so completely stop. Stock markets are going crazy. Uh, the crypto market's going crazy. Everything's dropping. The watch market, like, people are not buying. So first thing that happened was, my investor pump the brakes. He's like, you got all this, you got this clown on YouTube trashing you, you've got all this stuff happening. The economy's like doing who knows what, and it just made him nervous. So he paused. So I didn't get that money. The second thing was, Dallas and I had an agreement, and I had an expectation of when I was going to be getting paid. And I banked on getting paid on the dot, that amount, and it didn't happen. It was delayed. Jimmy did a video on it talking about it, and it didn't happen when I expected it to, but that's how I didn't bank on it not happening. I banked I impulsively made these decisions thinking there's no way my investor's not going to come in and there's no way Dallas is not going to pay me. So that's why I went and I spent all this money and did this. Now, the money that I spent, because I hadn't gotten Dallas's money or the investors yet, was mine. I sold most of my watch collection, rented the, did all these things here, put all the money into the penthouse, and then as I've spent, I'm not going to say what I've spent, but it's to the tune of over $1 million on the penthouse from my personal watches. Now, I got to a point where the investors paused and I haven't been paid from Dallas yet. The watch market's completely stopped, so we're also not selling very much. And what we are selling, I'm selling a lot of stuff at losses. It comes to where I have to make a decision of how much more of my money do I want to risk putting in to hope that one of these two big things turn around and hope that the market turns around before it's too late. And then I realized I actually hated living downtown. It's dirty, it's disgusting. I didn't believe people whenever I was moving here and I said we were going to go downtown. People kept telling me, no, you're not going to like it. Again, I'm this kind of person that when I have my mind set on something, that's what I believe and that's what I do. And I've not been very good at listening to outside influence. So I didn't believe it when people told us not to go downtown. I 100% believe it. It's just not safe or appealing for people in our industry. And I just made a decision that uh, cut the losses and get out, and let's go back to the beginning and start from what the original idea was going to be. And I'll tell you right now, I couldn't be happier. Our drive to work here in Beverly Hills is amazing. There's stuff to do. It's clean. Living in West Hollywood, where we're about to move into, I'm going to enjoy it so much more. So I saw a comment a minute ago. Actually, I'll get to that in a minute. Well, I'll take a few more comments. So the penthouse, I took a loss. I learned a lesson. It's people. I saw a video where someone was talking about like he just doesn't care. It wasn't his money because there's no way you can lose $1 million and not be affected more than I am. Trust me, I'm affected. It stresses me out and it bothers me. But the fact is that up until that happened, people couldn't tell me no. I didn't have people around me that would tell me no, and when they did, I didn't believe them. I still did what I wanted, and that was my ego getting out of control. Now, having lost half my money in 2 months to something like that, it it's it's a humbling experience, if you want to say that, or if anything, it's a lesson. It really kind of taught me to pump the brakes and ask some people. And if the majority of people say that's probably not a good idea, then I really need to calculate it and take that into consideration, which is something I just never did before. So let me look at a couple of these questions. One of the questions is, how do you deal with so much hate? Um, I don't know how a lot of people deal with it. I'm the kind of person that actually uses it as motivation and as fuel. And, they say all the time that if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. And that's true. Can, people hate because they have a void in their life. They have something they're insecure about going on with them, and they just put that frustration on them. Well, for me, I feed off that. I read a lot of these negative comments and I just use it as my ego is like, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to show you how I can do it, and I'm going to do it bigger and better than you thought, just to piss you off and prove you wrong. And that's how I look at all hate. Is every time someone tells me I can't do something or tells me I'm not worthy of something or that I'm a piece of shit, my job is to, or my goal is to prove you wrong. So another, oh, here's a really good question. With the setbacks you've been through, why do you think people in your crew still trust you enough to be their leader? The simple answer is because no matter how bad things get, I always take care of my people. Um, I would, getting rid of the penthouse, I did that so that Darby and Liz can keep their beach house. I did that so that we can keep eating out, so that I can keep all of my employees on the staff. So we can keep doing these things. And I've always been like that. Even in the Dallas operation, I went out of my way to make sure that people felt appreciated and people enjoyed their job. And yes, I overpay for positions because I want people to be comfortable coming to work and knowing that their bills are paid. I don't want stressed out salespeople that are like desperate to get a sell because they got to pay rent. Whenever your bills are paid and you're happier, you're actually more motivated and you're motivated to work harder and more effective than you ever did before. Something I saw a minute ago in one of the comments was, you know, or somebody actually made a video about how much of a tyrant I am and how hard I am to work for. Well, oh, because two of the salespeople have left. Now, here's the thing: three of my salespeople did not leave on their will. We let them go. Uh, Nothing bad. They just weren't a match for the company. They weren't a match for the brand. And one thing that I was bad at in Dallas was I would hire people, whether they had experience or not, based on a vibe. Literally everybody I hired in the office, I hired if they passed a vibe check for me, with the exception of Mike. Mike was actually very qualified. Um, but the problem is I hired people on a good vibe because I felt a connection with them and I wanted to give them an opportunity. The problem that I had was I didn't fire people or let them go when they weren't performing. That was a uh, that was a change in how I wanted to run this business. I was going to give people 60-day, 90-day trial runs. And if I felt like they were a good fit for the company, we would keep them. If in that 60 or 90 days we decided that they weren't healthy for the team, they were not as motivated as I needed them to be, or they just weren't getting it, I couldn't keep them on. I couldn't keep dead weight on trying to run a small operation if someone didn't show up to work wanting to get it done, wanting to go after it, or someone that I simply felt like I could trust when I'm not there. And if any one of those criteria were not or were happening, I had to let somebody go. So that's why we've parted with ways with three other people. Um, let's see. I'm going to actually open it up. I think I've gotten most of the questions on here. Oh, here's something that I know a lot of people have asked and are wondering is, do I still talk to Marco? Do I talk to Alfred? Do I talk to the guys at Grand Caliber? And the answer is no. I talk to Jimmy because we still have a company together. We are still friends, and I do wish them nothing but success. Uh, but my stance on Marco and Alfred is, back during the home invasion, Alfred made a comment on Twitter that said no sympathy, to be honest. For for me, that is after after me hiring someone that drove across the country and just on a whim giving them a job because they asked, and doing everything I could to make sure you went on trips. And I offered to give you phantom equity in a company because you were performing really well with sales. And I offered to give you a salary, even though nobody else had one. The things when I go out of my way to make your life better and easier, and then you comment something like that, you're dead to me. That was it. That was the end of that. Kind of a similar thing with Marco was this watch page, fake watchbuster, posted a bunch of dumb shit with zero facts about it, just more gossip and drama. And he went on and liked it. And that just kind of was for me, that was a stab in the back. And I have not spoke to them since. Um, I'm at a level where I don't hate anybody. It's just, I don't hate them and I don't wish that they fail or anything like that. I just wish to not speak. It's just they're not a part of my life anymore, and that is what it is. Um, but yeah, somebody's saying baller busters or I don't know, not fake watch, but baller busters or something like that. But that's the stance on that. Uh, I think Jimmy is a great fit for the face of that company. I think if because people ask me what's going to happen with them, I think Jimmy can take that company and turn it around. I think if he becomes the face, and he becomes the head dog there, then they have a chance at success. And that's the only thing I'm going to say about that. Rob Weiss, am I wearing your watch? Oh, shit, I shouldn't have said your name. Yes, this is the last day I'm wearing it before I ship it out to you tomorrow. So thank you for being a loyal customer and supporting that. Why does my brother still work with my enemies? Well, My Grand Caliber is not my enemies, and my brother works there because he lives in Dallas, and that's his job. And why did I? Oh, something somebody asked me. Why did I take certain people like Darby and Liz and Brian and not the others? Well, it wasn't like I just picked my favorites. I picked people who were flexible to do that. You know, Vic had his girlfriend in life there. At the point whenever I was moving, when Alfred and I were still on good terms, I didn't pick Alfred because Alfred also had a girlfriend that was in school there who could not move and relocate. Dylan, same thing. Trent, Trent lived there, which was his cousin, and Michaela, and they had their lifestyle. Like I didn't just pick and choose who are my favorites. I picked people who had that flexibility. I asked Darby and Liz with them. You know, Darby and I were really close. Liz was my personal assistant. We were getting really close. And I asked them like, "Is there anything tying you to Dallas?" And they were like, "No, I'm so down to leave." Brian was hesitant at first because we had just hired him on, but I really loved his work, and I knew we needed a second videographer because we were at the time we were still doing 2 channels, and so you know I basically had to beg him and convince him that it would be worth the while to go. What else? Any other questions, you guys? Let's do a few more questions. Do what?
Is Dallas better than LA?
So my stance on Dallas being better than LA, it's two different vibes. Like you have a lot of people from LA moving to Texas. Well, guess what? They've been here their whole life. They've woke up to the beaches, the mountains, 15, 20, 30 years. Me, I've been in Texas my whole life. I love Texas, but I'm ready for something new. Would you ask me, do I think LA is better than Dallas? For me, yes, because today I get to wake up every morning and I get to have coffee I walk to go get coffee. I walk down the pier. I do some meditation. I listen to music. I wake up. Then I can go for a jog on the beach. I can go for a dip. I can take my motorcycles or my cars through the mountains and the canyons and go drive. It's just it's just a different vibe. And for me, it's a different lifestyle. So for me, LA is better than Dallas for me.
Where's Mike Gruden still?
Mike is doing well. He went back into the financial industry, which he was in banking before. I talked to him a few months ago. He sounded like he was doing really good and happy, and he's a cool dude. We're still friends. What else?
Where's Lily?
Where's Lily? She's with her owner. What sports teams or venues will you be partnering with moving forward? So I don't know yet. It's just going to depend on how much that stuff costs. I would love to get into uh, the pro sports down here, but honestly, where my biggest interest is there, I know there's more money in pro sports, but on where my interest is, I love action sports. I'm actually in the process of sponsoring a pro BMXer. I was just at X Games last week, and I was like, I had more fun there watching the two heats that I watched or the two competitions that I watched than I would ever have watching a full football game, a basketball game, a baseball game. Like action sports are my thing, so I'm in talks with a couple riders and a couple of the public relations teams for those kind of guys, and I would love to in the next year get a lot more involved in action sports because that's truly what I like. Sure, it'd be nice to have my logo on the Lakers court or at the Raiders stadium in Vegas or something, but I would have more fun watching BMX, wakeboarding, snowboarding, uh, all the action sports. What else you got?
Someone mentioned the audio and the videos being inconsistent. That's because we're trying to get Brian up to speed on Adobe Premiere. We both use two different editing softwares.
Okay, so one of the questions is why is the audio always all over the place? Well, I want you guys to think like if you've never like filmed or used mics, when you watch a TV show, they have an entire like if you're watching a Netflix show, they're not just pointing a camera, like they're not just taking that kind of camera and pointing it at somebody and filming and getting perfect audio. They actually have entire teams of sound mixers and audio video people that do all this. The other thing is like we can't always have these shotgun mics in there. We have to use lapel mics. It's always a combination.
I want to make it clear I'm not blaming Brian for the audio.
I don't know if they can hear you because they're on my AirPods.
Oh, well, tell him.
So one thing Marco was saying is that he uses Adobe.
I use Adobe, he uses Final Cut. I'm
Okay,
not
so
blaming Brian, but when he gives me footage, it
mm,
comes as an already exported file. So I can't really edit the audio too
okay,
much.
so he's saying that the reason there's fluctuations with audio is that Darby edits in Adobe and Brian edits in Premiere. They also
Final Cut.
both use separate mics and camera setups that are different. So it's kind of like meshing all this stuff together on two different platforms. But Brian is actively trying to learn how to use Adobe right now. They're saying, can you guys hear me now? Is the audio better there? Let's see. How did I meet Z? Z was actually one of my coaching students, and he got to talking to me one day. He was like, he was excelling past everyone and had already built like kind of his own name in a matter of like 3 months of doing this. And he obviously is Chinese, and he has a Chinese market that I will never be able to captivate on my own. And we were in Vegas one day and we were talking, and he made a comment then and it stuck out. He was like, "Yeah, I do really well at his job with Target, but he's bored." And he told me how lucky I am that I get to kind of run around and do all these things and build the business from scratch. And I said, "Well, then why don't you quit and come work for me and help me build it bigger?" And a month later, we signed a contract and he came on over with me. As far as the rest of the coaching clients, they're all doing well. I'm going to keep our business private, but just know again, for anyone out there screaming that I scammed coaching clients, where are these coaching clients, and where are they coming out themselves and saying that I was scammed? So again, anytime someone calls me a scammer or a thief or a fraudster or anything like that, just call me what you want, but show some proof. Like bring something up. Uh,
Someone said, will you be expanding to other states or towns in California?
Not anytime soon. We signed a 2 year. So I'm always the kind of person that thinks big and fast and likes to move a million miles an hour. And you guys know that. I'm going to be patient with this one. We signed a 2 year, 3 month lease here at this office starting this month, and we are going to ride this entire lease out. I don't care if business does next year, if we do 50, $60 million in sales, 80 million, whatever it is. I'm not going to immediately jump and go get a retail facing front store on Rodeo. I'm going to finish this lease out and then see what happens then. Would I like to expand? Yes. Ideas being San Diego, San Francisco, Orange County. That would probably be my next move. If we do a second store, my next move would probably be Orange County because it's obviously only an hour drive from here and I can manage both of them.
Someone said, what are you doing to make new clients
Yeah.
trust your business with their valuable timepieces?
Well, it's easy. One, I always deliver. We pay people on time. We sell their watches. Nobody has ever once been scammed or reported. Nowhere, if you can look up stuff, and nowhere will you find an actual report of something going bad. I've made mistakes. We've done stuff, and I always fix them. The clients that we do get, they've been clients forever. I mean, one you just saw one of them comment in there, "Am I wearing his watch?" He just reached out to me today and bought this. Uh, I guess to answer that question is, we get on the phone. When I can get you on the phone, I talk to you. I walk you through our consignment process. When your pieces sell, we call you up and we get you paid as quickly as possible. And that's it. We try to just do good business. Forget what you see on social media. Remember this: social media is social media. Content is content. The way you perceive one thing on social media is not the way someone else perceives it, and vice versa. I do something and you may think it's shady while someone else is in support of it. It's risky. It's risky. So set the social media stuff aside and look at the business. We do good business, we sell watches, people get paid, and that's it. So what else? What's the story on the drug patch testing positive? So you guys remember when I had that little drug patch on here and it tested positive? That's not the first time I've had one of those test positive. In the 4 years that I wore that, I think I had 6 or 7 false positives come up on that. And you can actually read online where these things are not very accurate. Courts, in some instances, will not even let you take those to take another one to prove that one was wrong. And so when that patch came up positive 5 days before I was to get let off parole. In a judge's eyes, they don't get they don't get details of it. All they get is a report saying it's a failed patch for this amount of residue, and it's not like okay, well, let's send them to court and let's take our time and prove that this was in fact positive or false. It's just an immediate. There's 5 days left for him to be on parole. If he went and decided to party early, then we got to do something about it, and that's why it's let's revoke him and get him into court to figure this out. So obviously, though, you guys saw me jump in quick and go do nail cuticle samples. I did hair follicle sample test. I did a lie detector test, and everything came back in my favor, which is why I finally got released off parole. I'm going to hold it for 2 more minutes, ask a couple more questions.
You said, what is something that you're proud of with TPG enough with negative?
Okay, something I'm proud of. Guys, even after all the crazy shit that's gone on this last year, our business still keeps picking up. When I meet clients in person, again, even with everything that's happened, people are still overly enthusiastic to meet us. People come to the office and they see the team and they love it. I truly think that we are building a brand that is, I'm going to stick with this brand until the day we're out. And we have an awesome team here. I I can't even explain how cool of a feeling it is to have this simple, quaint office as it slowly starts to come together. The people that we meet here, like the clients and stuff, whenever we're out networking, they love it. Like it's just something different for LA, and people are excited about that. So I'd say it did my team. My team's badass, and give us, another month to get this place up and running and set up and the whole foundation put back in place. And I think we're gonna have a stellar first year here starting next month. So where do I see the business going? I think we're going to spend this next month outfitting this place up, getting it to our tailor or like our style and everything, and it's going to be business as usual. And as long as the economy, I don't know what's going to happen with the economy. I can't say. I can't tell the future, but as long as it stays in our favor, I think our business is going to grow. We're going to build a reputation here that people love, because at the end of the day, I can't stress this enough. I don't care what you see on social media, what you read on social media. What matters is my clients, and you will not find a single client out there that has done business with us on a consistent basis and that's still doing business with us that reads Reddit or that has a problem with that. And that's what I look for. I don't look at the comments on social media. I look for our actual business. Yeah, I saw that one. That's a sour dude. I don't know. But anyway, back to the guys that support us. Those of you that support us, those of you that have actually met me in person, have met Darby and Liz and met the team, we thank you guys and we love it. We appreciate the support, and I hope you'll keep sticking around and doing just that, and just keep waiting, watching, see what happens in the future. Is there anything you guys want to? Good. Make sure to like and subscribe. Guys, comment below what you thought of this.